Hey everyone. So, welcome to this week's news. You have me here and you have Darth Vader's head over there, and we are going to bring you this week's news kind of live.
Kind of live.
Kind of live. So, we thought we would do just a rundown of the news this week together whilst we shoot our podcast because, that's the way we roll. It might be the normal news one week, it might be a different news another week. Whoa, how cool are
Indeed.
we? But
Efficient. Two
cons-
birds, one stone.
yeah, consistently though, it is still the news.
Yep.
So
Right, Lee, you got something to mention. You
y-
did some news this week, didn't you? Um,
yeah,
you did a little bit of a release on Tonepedia. Let's hear what it's all about.
first off, let me say if you want the news if you want the snooze, we're not that boring. If you want the news every week, then yeah, and you like the way we produce it, then hit the little bell and it'll give you notifications and subscribe and all that sort of thing. So, okay, yes, so you may well know that I work for Tonepedia, that you guys who make the interactive demos, and little thumbs up there. And today this week we worked on two very big releases. The first one was the Carl Martin Ottawa. Now, what do you think? My dear friend, what do you think the Ottawa could possibly be? I know you know, but pretend you don't.
Well, if it's not an auto war, I will eat my hat.
No, it's a crying otter.
I mean, my second guess would be something really kind of like a really syrupy overdrive because Canada are known for their syrupy goodness.
Yes, they certainly are. Right, so let's talk a little bit about this. We've got a Carl Martin Ottawa. It is a vintage optical envelope filter. Um, don't be put off by the fact that it's an envelope filter because we were talking about this a bit earlier, and sometimes they sound a little bit hit or miss. This is an analog pedal, and everyone who's kind of like said something about this has said something positive. There's been very, very little, if any. I don't think I've seen any negative remarks about this. It sounds amazing. We've had it for a few weeks now and it really looks cool. You've got Q on it, so you can have a narrow Q or a wide Q, so that affects the how prominent the effect is. You can adjust the tone, so you can dial out any high level harshness. The attack develops how much from either a bassy whoa to a wow sort of sound. So it develops how far the wah travels, if you like, and then the level adjusts in level as normal. This looks pretty cool. Any thoughts on this, dude?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I listened to some of the sound examples, and stop touching me head. Um, as you mentioned, like auto wah and kind of envelope filter tend to have their own signature sound. They sound like that effect. They don't tend to sound much like a wah pedal. Whereas with this one, the examples that I heard sounded quite wah like, so it can be dialed in to sound very authentic.
Yeah, it looks really really cool. We like I say we've had it for some time and we've really liked playing with this. It's interesting. It's optical as well. Really really cool. Nice release from Carl Martin there. And if you want to go and try it, you can hit the links in the description to go and play it on Tempedia, which is pretty cool because that's what we do. Right.
So
Okay.
what was this second thing that we released on Tonepedia this week then?
The second thing, it was actually 10 things, and they are the new range of guitars from Strandberg. So, have you not seen these at all?
I have not seen these at all. Yes, you are
You've
correct.
not been well over you, so yeah, I can see how it might have like slipped through. Um, basically, Strandberg, if you don't know them, they create the headless guitars with the Bowden body. So it looks similar to Kiesel and these sort of things. Obviously, Strandberg came first, and way before then you got Steinberg and these sort of things. Very similar sort of looking guitars. Um, But the difference with Strandberg is what Ola's tried to do is take every single aspect of what makes a guitar easy or hard to play, um, and just try and make your job as a guitarist as easy as possible. So the neck is asymmetrical. As you go up the neck, it moves your hand around. So you've got your thumb is further towards the back, so you can get better hammer-ons and these sort of things. But as you come down the neck, it moves your thumb up, so you can do fancy chords where you wrap your thumb over and these sort of things, and it just makes it much easier. Um, One of the cool things from that Ola said was, a lot of people say tone is in your fingers, and we can agree with that. Sometimes you tone, it depends on the context, but from what he's saying it is, because if you've got a great sounding guitar in terms of tone, but it's a bitch to play, you're not going to get it to sound good. Or you might, but it's going to be difficult. You're going to make, you're not going to get the most out of it in terms of potential. If you've got a not so great sounding guitar, but it's really good to play, you're going to feel even happy. You're going to feel happy with that guitar, even though it might not be getting the best tones out of it. So what he's tried to do is create a great sounding guitar, but make it easier to play. Now that's been going on for about 12 years, and that's how long he's been had the Bowden shape out for. I think it's 12 years, and over the time he's had a lot of input from because there's a great fan base of Strandberg. The people who buy them are fanatic about them. It's almost like a cult in some ways. And yeah, there's been a lot of feedback. So he's taken a lot of the feedback. He's made the armrest easy, like nicer to sit. He's adjusted the heel carve so you can get up the fretboard easier. Um, like really, really little things they've refined, such as the knobs. One of the sides of the knobs is now flat, so you know where zero is. So you've got that as a reference point. So there's no kind of, oh, where am I? You can just feel it and like, okay, that's where I am. And little tiny things like that make a big difference.
Yeah. So is that what these new series is about? Is kind of it's like the next generation of
Yeah, exactly that.
Strandbergs.
Exactly that. They've also changed some of the woods on them and the manufacturing processes, and the reason they've done that is for sustainability, because they're a very, very forward-thinking guitar brand, and of course they're here in Sweden as well, and Sweden is like most of the energy over here that's produced is from renewable sources. Um, and one of the things he said is like when they're creating roasted maple, um, when you start shaving the neck away, roasted maple's very, very brittle. So what will happen is you quite often lose a few necks because as you're going through, the whole thing will split. So I think they've stopped using roasted maple now, and just gone to normal maple because it's only to do with the look of it, isn't it? As opposed to anything else. So
Mm. Roasted maple is supposed to be um, more stable under like a range of um, humidity values, so it tends to render different different environments less of an issue.
okay, okay. So he didn't say anything about that, so I don't know. I could be
There you
wrong.
go. I mean,
Maybe he's not. Maybe he's using a completely different wood on there. I can't remember. Probably do have it here though. Neck. No, no. I should have it here somewhere, but I can't see it. Doesn't matter. Um, yeah, it is a big improvement. They've got different woods that they use in basically, like I say, for sustainability.
yeah,
For instance, they've started using rich light instead of ebony.
yeah,
Um, but he said he wasn't convinced about Rich Light for a long time, and he's finally taken the move over to it because he's finally seen that it can be as good as Ebony.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I've got a Gibson with a rich light fingerboard,
it's good.
and purists would be absolutely slating it, but it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, he said about maintenance on Ebony, and that one's Ebony, my Les Paul, and that's I've never had any issues with that. So, yeah, these look great. You've got a bunch of them. So you've got metal, you've got which is two humbuckers. You've got a classic, which is that's not released yet, but it will be released soon. So that's a maple board and HSS.
Hmm.
You've got the prog. You've got a bunch of different models, and
Yeah,
most of them will go up to 8 string if you want them to, and they all start at 6 string. You can go on to Tonepedia, you can try them out, you can compare them to the pre-existing ones because they're all played the same, they're all played by the same guys, and you can compare them, see if you think they stand up, and you can play the Ebony against the Ridgelight if you want, for
yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah. See if you can hear the difference.
Yeah, I want one.
I um, largely it's not my thing, um, but hey ho. I mean, if you're gonna go for a headless guitar, go for go for the company that kind of brought back the popularity of them.
Which is Strandberg.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
um, yeah. I mean, you could go for a Steinberg if you really wanted to go old school.
I always want to call Steinberg Steinberger.
It might be Steinberger. Oh,
I don't think it is. I think it's Steinberg.
well, yes, one of those two.
I've
Um,
been writing descriptions about headless guitars and newsletters about them all week. I'm still not sure what this guy's name is. Oh
yeah,
dear.
I don't think it matters anymore. Right, shall we move on to onto a bit of Joyo news this week?
Oh, we've got Joey news, have we?
We have
Okay. It's just the slightly wet news.
it is the wet news. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
it's definitely a bit of news that's coming from me because it's a budget pedal. Um, however, it's also it's piqued my interest because it's a little bit naughty. It's a little bit naughty, isn't it, Lee?
Yes, no sex, please. We're British.
It's the JF20, so it's from the JF series.
Oh, naughty.
It is called the Moist Reverb. Um, Obviously, you can tell where they've got that from because there's usually like a wet and dry control on a reverb pedal, and if you type wet into a Google Translate, you're gonna get moist.
Yeah, you know one player there's Richard Oliver that works over at Wampler. He's on their podcast and on Jason Tone podcast and these sort of things, and he's a friend of mine, and we were all laughing about this the other day, and he was like, "Who the fuck signed off on that name?"
I mean,
What?
like Joyo definitely knew what they were doing because the Guitar Geek was involved with Joyo prior to the release of this, and he did let them know. He said this is going to cause a bit of a stir, and they wanted to go with it.
Yeah, good.
But
It's
there you
like
go.
good. Yeah, no news is bad news.
Well, that's it. I mean, and it's served a purpose, hasn't it? Because we're talking about it, and actually, if it was just called like the Cavern Reverb or something, we may not even be. So,
Caverns is a wicked pedal. What are you talking about?
but but okay, okay, pedantic. So this is
Yeah.
it's a tri reverb pedal. It's got a 32-bit DSP chip, and it's got
Okay.
studio mode, plate mode, and church mode. So, like going from a smaller space to like a quite outlandish reverb tone. And then you've got your 3 controls as well, haven't you? You've got what have we got? Mix, tone, and decay. So having a tone control on your reverb is quite an important thing, which gets left off quite a few as well, actually.
Can you imagine seeing this pedal on a, because you said it's got like the church setting. Can you imagine seeing this on a praise and worship board?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can see these being an absolute smash in the PW world.
Oh dear.
But yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to hear it. I've not heard any demos yet because they were being released tonight, so we decided to podcast instead. I saw this about 2 weeks ago, and it did make me chuckle. Like, hats off to the people at Joyo though as well, on their social media. Like they posted this up that it was being released today. And then in the comments they put something like the name like damp and clunge were also considered, but they went with moist.
Clunge.
Like,
in between the fans, are they? Oh my god,
yeah,
that's
like
grim.
they clearly know what's going on. But yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of a risk that the silliness of this might put some people off, and you can understand it because, like, you could go for the atmosphere from the R series, or you could go for the moist reverb. And if you've got like a pedal board that is going to be, like you say, if it's a praise and worship board, there's no way that you are going to be rocking the moist reverb.
Can you imagine, like, this is the sort of pedal you buy because of the price point for your first pedal board, and you're like, you're a young kid putting your board together, and your mum comes in, it's like, oh, what have you got there? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Smacks you around the ear. We'll be having a devil guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's no price point out on them at the moment, but I imagine it's probably going to be around the £50 mark. It's mono in, mono out, which is slightly unfortunate. If it was stereo, I think it would be ultimately more desirable.
Twice as moist.
Stereo moistening, yeah.
Oh,
but there you go. That's the little giggle that we get this week for the moist pedal.
Okay. We've got anything else?
Yeah, let's go for one more. Let's go for the funny little boxes. So the funny little boxes is a website, and it's run by a chap called Andy, who's an absolute legend. I did a demo for their collaboration with Bad Penny Effects, which was called the Funny Little Box Fuzz, and that was a wicked pedal.
These are the guys that have done the Pearl Jam pedal, aren't they?
That is exactly what this is. So it's called the 1991, and it's based on the
10.
The tones of 10. Yeah. So it was done in a collaboration with a YouTuber, which I unfortunately forget the name of at the moment. But he basically had a chat with Andy and said, "I'm going to set you a challenge and see if you can get Pearl Jam in a box for under £100." And that's exactly what he's done. So it's 99 £99, but at the moment, all of the pre-orders have been taken up, so you might have to wait a little bit if you want to get one.
We're gonna have to demo this. Do you like Pearl Jam? I really love Pearl Jam. I think they're a great band.
I am so indifferent to Pearl Jam.
Are you?
So indifferent. But the idea of the pedal seems pretty awesome. So it's got 2 gain controls because it's got 2 gain stages. It's got a master volume and a 3-band EQ. And the reason why it's got 2 gain controls, I believe, is because the sound of Pearl Jam was essentially absolutely gunned Marshall amps with overdrives, mid-forward overdrives pushing the front end. So it's very much a classic tone, isn't it? And I've listened to a few demos online, and for my ear, it sounds Pearl Jam enough.
Pearl Jam, is that a single word?
Yeah, Pearl Jam enough.
I
I
love it.
like I will be the first to put my hands up and say I'm not particularly the best person, like the most qualified person to distinguish the guitar tones of Pearl Jam. However, with a 3-band EQ and the 2 gain controls, it sounds like it's going to be quite a versatile little monster.
You know what? I want one just because it's Pearl Jam.
No, you need to get in line because the pre-orders are done. They have sold out of the pre-orders already.
That's awesome, man. That really is awesome.
There you go.
Well done to Funny Little Boxes.
Indeed, yeah, massive shout out to Andy because he's an absolute ledge.
The Funny Little Boxes make a reverb.
If they did, I'm sure it would be absolutely excellent.
Yeah.
I'm not falling for that, Lee. I'm not falling for that.
I'll tell you what, at this point, I think I would say that's it for the news this week. Thank you very, very much for joining us. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you next week with even more news. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.
See you soon.